Good morning. Welcome to this webinar on the Super Curriculum at OIC Brighton. My name is Tom Galvin. I'm the Super Curricular Manager, and I'll be taking you through what we do that sits alongside and outside the classroom to really enrich students and give them the best chance of what they want to do in the future. We might have people joining along the way, so feel free to either hold questions at the end, or I think you may be able to add questions onto a chat as well, but there'll be time for questions once I have gone through the slides as well. So first of all, who makes up the Super Curricular team? Well, although I oversee Super Curriculum here, actually all of the teachers are involved within the Super Curriculum, whether that is inside the classroom and maybe extending students through further reading and competitions within their lessons or within the subjects, but also in helping with things like clubs and societies and trips and looking for opportunities to help students in enrichment weeks and things like that. So all teachers are very much invested in the Super Curricular programme. Your students will also have the strategy tutor, and each strategy tutor has about 10 tutees, and they oversee the direction that the student's taking, make sure their well-being is looked after, but also the strategy that they're going to take to try and get them into the course of their choice at the institution they're looking to get to, whether that's a university, for example, in the UK or abroad, and then into their chosen career after that. And of course, some careers will have very specific requirements as they come up through the sixth form, especially, and into their university. So what is a super curricular as opposed to a co-curricular or an extracurricular? It's a question that I get asked quite a lot, and the key difference really is in the strategic nature of how it works. So rather than giving students a menu of lots of different things and just saying choose whatever you like, we work with the student, with the strategy tutor, to make sure that the students are getting the right combination of things for them to achieve their goals through the sixth form and then into university and beyond. So making sure that if they want to be a doctor, that they're thinking a few years ahead, what sorts of things are going to look good on my UCAS form, on the CV, and what will stand out to universities and employers in the future, rather than just choosing things that a 13, 14, 15-year-old would like, but not necessarily having that eye on the future as well. So it takes all of the best bits of a co-curricular programme, but then just gives it more of a focus, and that focus will narrow as it goes up through the school as the students get towards their university choices. And of course, this year we've got our year 13 cohort who are currently going through that process and applying to university at the moment. So where does it fit? Well, it brings together a lot of different areas of the school. So we're looking at improving the students' academic performance, so stretching and challenging the students, and I wouldn't say it starts outside the classroom. This can start within the class as well. The teachers of each subject will be looking for how to extend students, and if you look at what's required for example, an A star at A level, it will say from the syllabus or beyond. And the moment we get to beyond, we start to get into that super curricular programme. So this can start in the classroom and then extend outside of that as well. So we're looking for the academic excellence. We're also looking for where they want to be and what they want to do in the future, and make sure they're as prepared as they can be, alongside expert advice from the staff who have experience in those areas, to get them into the university in the course of their choice as well. And we've got students applying domestically within the UK, but also further overseas as well. And we don't want to lose sight of the personal development of the students' characters as well. So it encompasses all three of these that we're looking to pull together. So when strategy tutors are looking at the combination of things that one of their tutees is doing, they'll be having this in mind and thinking, are they doing a combination that helps to channel all three of these pillars of this integrated curriculum? So drawing from the and very much overlapping and stemming from what the Oxford International College does in Oxford, and building on that, because of course we have year 9 upwards rather than the year 11 1-year GCSE and then upwards. So we use a similar outline of 6 key elements of the Super Curricular Programme, and all students are involved very heavily in this. Depending on the year group, we look to give them a different amount. There's no maximum amount. Students can take on as much as they want, but we do expect students. So, for example, year 9 and 10 would be doing super curricular activities on 4 out of the 5 days of the week to still give them a little bit of time if they need it to balance with their work, but also giving them lots of opportunities to take part in. As they go up through the school, the minimum amount would reduce, but it would become more specific in what they're doing. But of course, they can do more if they'd like to. So those students at the moment going through their university process might pull back a little bit on some of the super curricular activities to focus on that the application side. And then once they've put those applications in, they might want to pick up more things as well, which will help with things like interviews when they have those coming up. So those applying now for the competitive courses will have interviews in the coming months as well. So these will be really valuable things for them to be talking about if they can engage with the programme. So going through the different strands that they have, the first strand will stretch students beyond the syllabus. We'll look at what they can be doing within a classroom as that extra reading, maybe in their study periods as well. We take students off site. There's been a lot of trips during the school terms and during the enrichment weeks to try and enrich and stretch students for lots of different subjects. Now, some of these will be subject specific. So, for example, they might have gone to a maths lecture at Sussex University, or some of these might be cross-curricular, and they might be, for example, we've had a tour of the Hurstman Observatory, for example, those interested in astronomy and astrology and things like that, and physics and science museums for those that are very hands-on as well. So the trips and conferences will vary. Some will be more specific, some will be more cross-curricular. We have lectures, we have speakers who come on site. Some of these will be in person and some of these will be remote. But it gives us a good access to a really wide range of people who can give that advice to students, and we try and target that through the careers pathway. More on that a little bit later. Lunchtime lectures. At the moment, students are running lunchtime lectures, and really these are well attended, run by students and attended by groups of other students, their peers, but across different year groups, to sort of show off what they're doing and what they've been working on. How they're stretching themselves as well, so that's really nice to see. And things like online courses are widely available, and they can do that at their own time, and many students have already completed these, and some are working through them at the moment. So these again would be signposted through strategy tutors. Some of the things, it mentions EPQ there, although they can do a similar project qualification all the way down to year 9, this is developing the skills to be able to work independently and to work through a project where the final outcome is only part of the process, and actually the process itself is a big part of the marks. And universities look very favourably on the EPQ at the extended project qualification when they get to that application stage. And although it's not usually part of the offer, they may lower the offer if they have a very good EPQ that they've done. So they might say rather than 3 A's, it's now AAB, for example, with a good EPQ. So it's a really useful thing for students to engage with, and we run that right down to year 9 as well, so they can be focusing on things that sit outside of what they're studying, but within their interest. The second strand we are now a fully established Duke of Edinburgh provider. We've had silver and bronze awards already completed, and gold does take at least 18 months to 2 years. So our first cohort will be looking to complete that by the time they leave school at the end of the summer term. The nice thing with the Gold Duke of Edinburgh is they do get to collect their award at Buckingham Palace. That's always a good hook for students to work towards, but also it's a really valued award that they can have on their CV forever, and it looks really good for universities and for employers as well. So we encourage students to get involved in a lot of these competitions. Some of these are run on site and some of these will be off site, and I know maths and science have a lot of different Olympiads and competitions, but most subjects will have at least 1 or 2 competitions throughout the year that are run. So I teach geography, and there will be, for example, a Young Geographers of the Year competition, which is run through the Royal Geographic Society. So each subject will be looking at what competitions their students could enter. Just picking a few of those other ones, house competitions, so keeping a healthy competition within school as well. And these are a mixture of academic and sporting competitions for students to engage with as well. Lambda is offered through the drama department, so all the students in the lower years will do drama, and then they can look to do Lambda as well as part of that. We offer a really wide range of clubs and societies, and I've just put a few of the days, otherwise it would be so small it'd be difficult to read on screen, because there are so many at the moment, and you can see just the first 2 days of the week there how many and the range of clubs that they have. We've got all staff are engaged within this, bringing their own expertise, their own interests, and you can see, for example, on Monday there's things like coding and the MIT Challenge, which is run as part of a global campus opportunity, which I'll speak about a little bit later, and maths club, but then that balances with things like running club and Russian for fun, and sort of articulation, which is an art competition. So there's a good balance of academic and an interest, and also sort of healthy things as well for students to stay active. And again, strategy tutors would look at the range of clubs that a student's doing, and would encourage them to make sure something in there is encouraging them to be active as well, alongside their academics. Students can lead societies. There's a few of those in there already on the Monday and Tuesday that are student-led, things like the Chinese Chess Club on Monday. We've got a few clubs later in the week as well. So, for example, the debating club on the Tuesday is also student-led, as is the economics and current affairs. So these are students who have a really keen interest in this and want to bring together some other students to try and mentor and coach them as well. And we encourage that alongside our staff-led clubs. So they can propose, and as long as they can make sure they've got a core group of interested students, then we can make sure that club runs, and make sure they get the most out of it as well. So the best of both worlds with both staff and student-led clubs. Some of these clubs will run through the whole year, as there are students who might be using that as a skill or as an activity that is part of their Duke of Edinburgh programme. And then some clubs will be light dependent. On a Wednesday we have archery, for example, which for obvious reasons, as it gets dark, won't be running after October half term, and then we'll come back later in the year as well. So some clubs will be dependent on the conditions, and will run at certain times of the year, and others will sort of will stay throughout the year as well. And each term we would encourage students to be thinking about if there are things they would like to do, and then we can look to see if it's something we could either add as a club, or if they could run it as a student-led club, and then we can support them doing that. These run during the afternoons, so there are a few of these that will run. So Monday, for example, Model United Nations runs at lunchtime, but most clubs tend to run during the 4:40 to 5:30 slots. There's a dedicated 50-minute slot at the end of each day for these clubs to take place. And as I mentioned before, year 9 and 10 would be doing 4 out of the 5 days, or 4 clubs at least. So they could do 2 on a Monday if they wanted to do a lunchtime club and an afternoon club, if they wanted to free up an afternoon for a bit of work, if they need that. So they can chop and change a little bit depending on what works for their timetable, but their strategy tutor would be looking at getting the right balance for them. Older students, a minimum of 2, but there's no maximum, and again it would just make sure it would be strategy tutors and myself who would have that conversation, just to make sure that they are engaging with the programme as well. But their academic demands will increase as they go up through the school, so it might be hard for them to balance quite the same super curricular load as they would be doing in year 9 or 10, for example. It doesn't mean they won't be doing lots, but it does mean that they might be doing more, for example, in enrichment week, or our end of year 12, a lot were doing a pro-ed programme, so that's working with Imperial College in London, and placing students within different employers to get different experiences of, for example, law and medicine and things like that over the summer. So they may do more super curricular within the holidays or within the enrichment weeks, as opposed to on a sort of afternoon by afternoon basis. The fourth strand then is the further personal development of students. So this is the enrichment side, I suppose, looking at, and you can see a list of things we've done there on enrichment week. So looking at different theatres, we've gone climbing, we've done fieldcraft on site, gone to art galleries, museums. In the coming enrichment week, we have on one of the days we'll be going to Hever Castle, which is where one of Henry VIII's wives lived. And they have a Halloween week, so there's lots of activities and things for them to see, as well as a climbing activity. We're then going to the London Science Museum and have booked into workshops there, as well as the Natural History Museum. So it's a really great opportunity for students to get to some of these really amazing national places to experience them and enrich what they're doing. There's a lot of things like mindfulness training, making sure that they're sort of growing as a person. Some of this again will be in, for example, life skills, and also encouraged. So making sure that they're reading a good range of maybe books and journals, to sort of help their, and more for pleasure on this side, for the further personal development. So reading for academic enrichment, but also reading for their own enjoyment as well, to try and sort of boost their personal development. As we get towards strands 5 and 6, we get towards the university side. So this is playing a bigger part, obviously, this year. UCAS, the process, although students should be thinking about this through their whole journey, the UCAS process opens in about May of the previous year and runs through to roughly January of the year that they're applying, and the competitive applications are in mid-October. So the sort of the competitive applications at the moment are in, I think it's tomorrow is the deadline for those. So it's definitely very much at the forefront of our year 13's mind, and our year 12 looking forward as to what they might be applying to for towards the end of this year. So we have, for example, careers meetings. We have a careers pathway which occurs on a Thursday, and all students are part of this. So all students have at least an hour a week, some have more, where they will be split into one of 3 groups. So we have healthcare and biological sciences, physical science and mathematics, and social science and commerce. And students can move between these, but it gets them thinking about what they might want to do in the future. And it also means they can get a flavour of what their future career might be. So, for example, getting the right speakers in front of the right people, making sure that if we've got, for example, a doctor coming in to speak, that the healthcare and biological science would be more relevant for them to attend that meeting. Others can join. There's no, it doesn't mean they can't, but it just means that the students with that career in mind are the ones who will be sort of most exposed as each speaker or course comes up. There's university partnerships. We work closely with a lot of universities, and we've run, for example, some slightly more academic. So we ran a networking session at Oxford University in the February Enrichment Week. We work very closely with Cambridge University and have gone up there for a formal lunch for students as well, so they can experience what life is like in a college, and start to build up some links, and they get to meet people from the university when they're in each of these. And we're close to other universities such as Sussex University, which we're building partnerships with as well. So students starting to think about this. So certainly, as I said, as they get into sixth form, and it might be that students lower down the school have an idea of what they might want to do, and thinking of those two things: what's the course and what's the destination, what's the university? And some will approach it from different angles. Some will be looking first of all at the course, and others will have a university in mind and want a strategy for that particular thing. Building on what we did with ProEd, who are this really excellent company who looked after our year 12s and helped them with Imperial College over the summer to experience a range of careers within their first week of Head Start. They're going to be coming on site, which I've put a poster on this slide at the moment, not next week, the week after, for our Enrichment Week. So they're going to run a 3-day sort of immersive careers session, where we've got doctors and engineers and people coming on site to run those workshops with students. So especially for students who aren't quite sure what they want to do, it'll be a really useful opportunity for them to see what's involved and to ask those questions as well, and have a slight flavour of what they might do in the future if they were to choose that particular path. So it's really great having the opportunity for them both on-site and off-site, depending on what year they're in. All year groups are open to do this. Year 9s and 10s who are staying on site will all be part of it, and then older students can join if they'd like to. So the offer is there for them if they're staying during that enrichment week. And as they move towards the final strand, which is the university application itself, this will depend a little bit on what program they want to do, where they want to apply. Is it in the UK? Is it overseas? Some universities will have interviews. Some will have testing and admissions tests. So this is very much down to where the student is applying, and we've got a really wide range of expertise within the college to be able to support them, whether that's an Oxbridge application, whether that is a US application, a Russell Group application, or whatever's needed at the time. So we run sessions during the week within the Super Curricular Programme. That's one of the newer things this year, because we've got those students going through these admissions tests. They have specific guidance during that Super Curricular time for the specific maths or science or whichever test they're going to be doing in the coming few months. I mentioned some of the summer programs that are done. We have got, as I said, the end of year 12 for their Head Start program using and working with ProEd, but we also are looking at some overseas trips which will help to sort of cement either year 13 positions. So, for example, if this could be something that they're working towards, or it could be a year 12 who's looking to really boost their application for next year. So things like a trip to Nepal, we're just launching this week for those doing medicine or conservation. And if they're students who have other interests, they can run social programs and other things out there as well. So it's very much tailored to the group that goes as to what they want to do. And if there's a very large group or strong group of medics, then they'll do a more medical-based program. And if it's more who wants to do conservation, they can do that as well. So that would be a really nice thing for them to have for an application. So looking at how they use their summers as well. Obviously, year 13s are in the midst of their applications, but for all other year groups, really thinking how they can best make use of that time during the summer break. There's a huge range of courses. So some of the things they will be doing will be in specific times, whether that's the super curricular time, whether that's within a lesson. But there are always lots of things that are available at any time for students to engage with. So this could be during their study periods, during their prep time, at weekends, during enrichment weeks, or in holidays, and they can access this globally. So they could choose. There's a range of courses that's shown on screen at the moment. If they have particular interests. So there's courses on, for example, preventing the next pandemic, or entrepreneurship in emerging economies and things like that. And that's just a small range of those that are available. So they can access these, as well as things like MOOCs, which are these online courses as well, and gain certification in a range of things. There's no set time. You'll see there it's 4 to 12 weeks. It depends how much time students engage with them. Students I know have completed them in as little as 3 weeks, or as much as sort of 8 to 12 weeks as well. So it depends how much time the student has to devote, but a really useful thing to be doing in the background, maybe alongside other things as they go up through the school. So we obviously in Nord Anglia school, and as such we have access to all of the Nord Anglia opportunities as well as our own on site, and as such we collaborate, or the Nord Anglia collaborates with places like the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and UNICEF, Juilliard Institute, and we have students who have been going out to these. So we've got some students going out in 2 weeks' time to MIT in the US. We've had students in the summer go out to Houston in Texas for the UNICEF program with Nord Anglia, and these will be repeat programs, so available each year for students who want to do those. A lot of the, for example, MIT challenges work with experts from MIT, so students can access competitions and challenges. And there's an example of the dashboard that they would see if they were to log into Global Campus. And all of these are things that are signposted by age, by interest, by sort of sphere of academic, whether they're performing arts, social impacts, STEM or STEAM, art, design, and so on. And then there are some that to run through the school. So, for example, we as a school will enter the sports challenge, global sports challenge, the chess challenges, and put forward students who are interested in doing those as well. And they can compete against all of those other students in the Nord Anglia group, or work with them depending on what the challenge is at the time. So debating is a great one for them to be able to engage outside of the college, and also, as we mentioned, something like that, chess is a great one for them to have exposure to as many people as possible as well. And the chess club's a very popular one that we have at the moment that runs on a Wednesday. So looking ahead, the careers pathway I mentioned runs on a Thursday. Students opt for one of these three, and we've got the healthcare and biological science, physical science and maths, and social science, humanities and commerce. And these are flexible, so students can move between them. If a year 9 opts for physical science and maths and then decides actually this isn't the career stream for me, I would like to change, so they can opt to move between them. That's not a problem. But we would find that as students move up towards and through the sixth form, that they would become more fixed just because they have a better idea of what they want to do afterwards, and the particular stream will make sure it's focused on that career path as well. There will be things that all of them need to do. So that might be writing a CV or how to fill in a UCAS form. But there will be elements that will be more useful for those applying for medicine or for those applying for example, engineering, which would be physical science and maths, that they can get more bespoke advice for as well. A few bits mentioned there at the bottom that they can do. So we mentioned the Cambridge formal meal. Biograd is a really great opportunity for those this half term doing medicine to go and work in laboratories and medical facilities in Liverpool, and they get a real exposure from doctors and training from doctors to which they would never be able to access in most areas. Even including probably many universities probably don't have the facilities that they have there in Biograd. It's a fully working and functioning medical research facility, and in fact led the charge on COVID testing in the UK. They were some of the first to be able to do the testing and roll that out nationwide. So they have that opportunity. They also run courses in other enrichment weeks for other careers paths. So those interested in engineering or finance or law and things like that will have chances on other enrichment weeks to be able to attend these residential courses. The good thing is things like the residential courses also count towards, for example, Gold Duke of Edinburgh, where they have to attend a residential. So sometimes it can be used to tick two boxes at the same time as well. We've had a range of sort of speakers coming in. More recently, an entrepreneur who has started and run a very successful business in the world of data centers. We've also had actuarial speakers, we've had law, we've had medicine, we've had lots of people either in person or remote, and also working with institutions. So Imperial College London have come in and sort of looked at all of the programs they run and what can be offered both domestically and also abroad. So for example, they do run programs in, let's say, places like China, where if a student was away in the holidays, they could actually participate in their home country as well, or be taking part in the UK. And so this is compulsory for all students, run on a Thursday, and then it's a really useful thing for students to be able to just focus on what they want to be doing when they get up into the sixth form and beyond. So the students themselves, thinking about what they need to do, thinking about as they go through what's their plan, how can they work with their strategy tutor, how can they work with their academic teachers to sort of discuss and just keep one eye on where they want to be in the future, and then can make sure that they get the correct guidance and range of super curricular activities under their belt. You can see their top offers are usually very close to 3 A stars, maybe a touch below in some cases, depending on the course or the university. So lots of people will have this, and then it's a case of what else do you do? What else have you done over this time? And certainly universities are much more focused now on specifically what have they done, not sort of an attitude-based reference, but tell us what they have done. What have they read? What have they been on? What courses have they done? What enrichment have they taken part in? So it's really great to have tangible things, whether that's certificates or competitions or courses that students have been on, to be able to reflect in their references. So that has been a change over the last few years, that universities do want much more tangible evidence of what students have done. We'd encourage students to be sort of researching themselves, and that could be through their subjects or through their wider interests, but to make sure they are reading and growing within their academic and within their own interests as well. So a timeline would be, so this would be a student, for example, who's currently, we're sort of the October heading towards November 24 section of this, looking at the current university entrance. They are going through that UCAS application. The university tests and the interviews tend to happen before Christmas, before the holidays, sort of into early December. And the final university admissions would be going on just into the new year. But students can be gaining their offers already, and we have already had our first offers, which is really amazing to see, and great for the students to have those coming through, and that really gives them the drive to kick on, and then they know what they need, where they're going to be applying, and what grades they need to get there. And then, of course, as they get through the spring term, then they're into their exams. to receive their A levels next summer, and then start their university either next October or the following if they were to take a year out. So it's quite a busy timeline when they get up into the sixth form. And we'd encourage all students right from year 9 upwards to be thinking that, you know, when they get into the lower sixth, it's late to be starting lots of things if they haven't already been doing things that would enrich their UCAS profile and their CV. So really, the earlier they can start, the better, and they can really build up a wealth of super curricular opportunities, and they can reflect and record all of this on UniFrog, which is used for the application process. So, you know, the earlier any of the students can be interested in reading and enrichment and competitions, the better. And so that's why we really expose them to as many opportunities as possible right through. And obviously, we will have students joining us in the sixth form, and they may have done lots already. So if that was the case, it would be trying to engage as quickly as they can, maybe into the enrichment weeks, or maybe into the holiday programs as well. We have brought in recently a new system of managing the supercurricular activities. So all students have a profile page on what's called Involve. And you can see an example here of a student. So this will have their lessons, but it will also have anything. So we can see the student there has a music club. This is actually for today's. So we can see there's a music club that's going on later today that this student is engaged with, and we can see on the right the range of things they're doing. So they do a really wide range. Some of these are lunchtime clubs, so they're not all in the afternoons, but you can see they're doing DAV Gold, the MIT challenges. The reason Year 9's not on the MIT challenges is that they actually do that as part of their STEAM lessons. So they have lessons where they will be doing MIT challenges. So the club itself is then for those students who don't do that as part of their curriculum. They're doing archery, they're doing Russian, they're doing career pathway, which all students will do. And we can see this student has engaged in the physical science and maths program, and then the choir as well. So a good balance of things that they're doing within their supercurricular, and their strategy tutor would be looking at and just making sure it's manageable as well. So that would be on probably the slightly heavier side of a student. We would encourage students to probably be doing 4 to 5 things, but as I said, some students are incredibly active and really want to get engaged. So there is no maximum. As long as the student is happy and the strategy tutor has had that discussion with them, then that's absolutely fine. Now, this is also open for parents to see. So there's almost all parents in school have now received a login. If you haven't, please just let me know. It's very, very quick to set up if you need one. A lot of that has been drawn automatically through from ISAM, so it will just send through the contact details there. But if you had a different email address, for example, that you'd prefer, then just let me know and I can get that set up. And this can notify, for example, if they were to miss a club or if they were to join a new club as well, it would notify you of those sorts of things. They also manage things like music lessons through here, and there's no reason why staff couldn't run, if they were running revision sessions and things nearer to the exam time, sort of specific sessions for specific students outside of their lesson times, then this could also be managed through there, and then students will get reminders. So anything that's on here students will get a reminder at 7 o'clock in the morning to say, don't forget you have this club and you have these activities today as well. So it just helps them to remember where they need to be. And hopefully that's going to be a really useful thing for them to choose their supercurricular, so they can choose them very quickly. On their group page, they also will be able to see all of the available clubs, so students can sign straight in. They don't need to come through us centrally to do so. We are this month launching a series of overseas enrichment opportunities, one of which I've got on the screen now, and this is a trip to Nepal which I mentioned earlier. For initially the idea will be medical and conservation, but as I said, it will depend a bit on the makeup of students. If we get students who really want to have a slightly different slant, that's not a problem at all. We can make this a bespoke trip with projects abroad who are based here in Brighton, and they're very amenable to whatever the students want to do. So we're launching as a medical and conservation project, but it could be one or the other, or something slightly different depending on what the makeup of students is. But there's no reason why both couldn't happen. So, for example, in a morning, some would go off to a hospital and work within the hospital, and others would go off to do a conservation or more of a social project, if that's what they would prefer to do. And these look really great for employers and for universities to show hands-on experience in a challenging environment, But students will also get to explore the country as well and see some amazing things when they're out in Nepal. So this will be for after the students have sat exams, sort of towards the end of the summer term, and just going slightly into the holiday as well. So students will be asked to sign up this week. We had a speaker in last week who launched the trip with us. But we're also looking, for example, to go to Iceland, and again, students have now received the sign up for that. So they're looking to sign up over the next few weeks, and that's for next Easter, and so on. So there's other opportunities as well for students to go and travel and experience these sorts of things. We have trips within the UK, so this would be things like Model United Nations trips. So these are run sometimes by universities and sometimes by schools. So we're looking to go to certainly the Cambridge MUN, Model United Nations Conference, and they do happen overseas as well. But so that might be something that we look in the future to do, both domestic and overseas ones. Although slightly conscious this year, there are a lot of visa changes within the EU, so that's just something to keep an eye on for trips, especially for such a wide range of student nationalities. Just making sure that that's manageable as well. Just sort of to round off as well, there's lots of experiences for volunteering, for work experience. There's a lot of employers locally who are really keen to have our students, but we do encourage them with our support to be reaching out and making that contact, because that looks the most impressive for the students to have made that link with the employer, with that opportunity, and then they can use that as a sort of stepping stone into a more full UCAS or CV sort of as they get towards sixth form. So we'd strongly encourage students to engage with local universities, employers, sort of charities, and opportunities for them to get involved with these. So and we support students to be doing that. So that might be an enrichment week, that may be over the summer, or it might be, for example, at a weekend as well. So that probably summarises most of what we offer here, and I'm very happy to take questions if there's specific questions as well. I'm just looking to see how I can bring up the question boxes on my screen. But are there any questions from anyone for today? Any information about the engineering programme in Enrichment Week? So we have a 1 day, one of the 3 days is based on engineering for this Enrichment Week, but there is more of an off-site program for the February Enrichment Week. So for those interested in that side of things, they might want to look at some other opportunities this Enrichment Week, and then join on to a residential or a more significant program in the following one. But as I said, that's part of our 3-day program of careers opportunities for this particular Enrichment Week coming up. University open days, yes. So actually, a lot of university open days are happening around now. So we would support any students to be visiting universities. It will depend on which university they want to do, which the university they want to go to. So what they should be doing is looking at their chosen university. They will normally on their website advertise when all the open days are. And then they can submit a reach request to go. And if there's a group, then they could go as a group as well. If there's several of them who want to go to the same university. So universities will do tours. They will do more ad hoc visits as well, but they tend to do a few big open days at around this time of year. So it's always a good idea. And sometimes in the summer term as well, they'll run them towards the end of the summer term. So students in sort of year 11, year 12, it's certainly a good opportunity for those to think ahead and see a few universities to get a different feel, because I think sometimes you do need to go and have a feel of, does it feel like the right place? You know, some universities are quite a big campus, are a relatively small campus. Some are maybe in a big city. So depending on the university and what the student it feels comfortable with. If they are from a big city and they like that environment, then London universities are amazing. They might prefer something. Oxford and Cambridge are more sort of classically campus universities and college based, as are places like Durham and St Andrews as well. So some of the Russell Group universities will be like that, but others will be the larger cities. So things like Birmingham and Manchester and universities like that. And others, some might have more of a coastal feel if students like that. So Exeter, for example, or Cardiff, or places like that. So it depends a little bit on where the students would like to go, but we certainly support them applying for those open days and then attending them as well. The students signed up to Biograds. Yes, so I'm going to email parents today. I've actually, while I was talking, I can say I had a missed call from our Biograd contact. So there were a limited number of spaces, but they were looking just to open up because we had a few students who would otherwise have missed out on that. So Biograd were looking to just open a few more places up, and so that may well have been what that call was about. So I'll give them a call back as soon as I finish here, and then hopefully we can add those on as well. There are science and research positions still available, but I know a lot we're very keen on the medicine side. So we've got some students already signed up to that, and a few who are just waiting to just check if we can expand the numbers slightly to make sure that everyone can get onto that course. If for any reason they can't, the same program runs at different times of the year, so they could still participate later in the year as well. So we'll just check. It is a very popular course run specifically for OIC and OIC Brighton. For medicine in this enrichment week, or science and research, they're sort of key to. So anyone whose son or daughter has applied to those will hear back from me today, and I will give the Biograd contact a call back in a minute just to check and confirm if they've managed to open up those spaces. No, if you think of anything, if you have any questions, feel free to send them through to myself, Tom Galvin. My email is tom.galvin@oicbrighton.com, or through to the school, and they can be forwarded to myself or the relevant person as well. So and we can get back to you on that. But as I said, this afternoon I'm going to be contacting parents about Enrichment Week for those who've signed up to Biograd, and then just checking through those students who are attending the courses that we've got on site as well, or the trips. I know some students want to stay on site for the older students and want to do the trips, but not the careers course, and that's okay as well. So day students can opt in if they want to do just 1 or 2 days of Enrichment Week. So it's still available for day students, but if students are staying on site, it is compulsory for those to take part. Sorry, for year 9 and 10, and then optional for years 11 upwards. I'm sorry, I was just seeing a few more questions come in. Will parents be involved? Yes. So parents are, as I said, there's about 15 out of the parents who I just need to add on their detail. I'm just going through and just making sure everyone has that. So again, that will be by the end of this week. Everyone will have access. All parents will have access to that. I've just been working through and just making sure where someone isn't linked automatically, that I can do that quickly from ISAM. So if one parent, for example, has a login and another doesn't and would like it, that's not a problem at all. I can make sure that I get that to you. It's quite a quick process to do. So you'll have access to Involve. You can, within the parent portal of Involve, set some parameters as well. So, for example, notifications. So if you'd like to receive more or fewer, or I can enable that centrally. So just certainly up until half term in the enrichment week this term, we are just making sure that everyone is comfortable using it, making sure they know what to do. And then we'll be looking to make sure that they all are sort of in the right balance of things as well. So there are some people who are still switching between clubs and looking for that best combination. So, but it's new for students this half term, so they're just getting used to using that. Program details. Yes, I know this was sent out a few weeks ago. We can send that out again this week, just so that people have that again. The deadline. If it's a year 9 or 10, then they should be taking part in that program, but we still need to know that they are staying on site. We obviously do need to know for visa reasons if people aren't staying on site, and just have their travel details as well. So students can sign up really up to enrichment week, but the earlier we have that information, the better, and just to make sure that we have the right staffing levels and things like that for the right days. So what I tend to do for all the trips is book a little bit of extra capacity, just so if students do want to change their mind, or if we have a year 11 upwards who wants to join one of the trips, then there's space for them to do that, and so the older students can opt to do it in the days leading up to the trip as well. So that's not a problem. For those attending the first 3 days, the Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, ideally the student would attend all 3 of those to get a real sort of flavour of those range of careers. But if they really don't want to and they just want to do one, that's also not a problem as well. But we will make sure we resend those details this week, so people can have a look. I think it was maybe sent about 2 weeks ago. If you want to have a look back, otherwise we'll resend it this week. Okay, thank you very much then. And as I said, if you have any further questions, do send them through to the school or to myself, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And those who are undecided on Enrichment Week, we'll send that detail out just so you've got that again. And then the sooner we can know, the better, just to help with our planning.